Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm doing two today, same shirt, because I wanted to share with you my testimony for child protection legislation. A lot of people have asked for me to share that publicly, and I'm glad to do so in the voice of a child. Growing up in a home with a coercive controller, aka a narcissistic abuser, has significantly impacted my developing brain. I learned early on that I must regulate my behaviors, like the protective parent has, in order to support creating equilibrium in our home. Walking on eggshells is a part of my life. No one really notices there is abuse by the coercive controller because the abuse is often hidden. Violence is often the last act and certainly the most deadly. This has caused a hypervigilance in me. It may cause me to be easily stressed, dysregulated, to have attention difficulties, obsessive behaviors, including perfectionism, anxiety, and of course, depression. Sadly, this may lead to relationships with controlling people and/or to be controlling in order to feel safe. When I cannot feel safe in my own home, then self-worth is compromised. It's diminished. My ability to adapt to challenging situations, also very challenged. This is what the coercive controller wants, for me to be compromised. If I am compromised, I will more readily align with the coercive controller and may even participate in some of the behaviors being modeled for me by him. That feels safer. My protective parent, stripped of her autonomy, may be unable to advocate for herself. Of course, when systems do not support her, she remains further trapped, and I do too. I learned early on there's one parent with more power in the home. I quickly learned that it may be safer to align with the more powerful parent. The grooming process, similar to that of a sexual predator, for both me and my protective parent. Sometimes the coercive controller is a child sexual predator. The betrayal is always significant regardless. The foundation of trust is annihilated. I have one parent trying to protect me, but unable to sometimes, and another parent that if I do not cooperate, then I may receive the same treatment my protective parent has. It is so frightening, yet oftentimes I do not even know fear is what I am feeling. Make no mistake, this has been the plan all along. The coercive controller wanting to ensure they have this power over our family system. In the event my protective parent feels supported enough to escape, I will most certainly be further weaponized against her and continue to live in this state of fear. It is similar to living in a cult. The indoctrination, a slow erosion of my autonomy, and in that I often align with an abusive parent simply because that feels safest. Research affirms that the trauma of hidden abuse is that much more complex. If you cannot see it, the abuse, supposedly it did not happen. How do I explain to anyone that my brain, my child brain, lives in reptilian mode, survival mode, all too frequently? Cortisol streaming through my body. When gaslighting, manipulation, diminishing of autonomy are consistent and repetitive in the family system, then it makes sense that the child's experiences are traumatic. As a child in this family system, I have learned that I am an object, objectified by the coercive controller in this family system. In other words, my role is solely to fulfill the need of the coercive controller, the love entirely conditional. Being authentic is something every single child needs to have for healthy development in their home. I cannot be authentic in my home. I am not loved unconditionally. I am a vulnerable child, a human being, dependent upon adult caretakers, yet in some cases unable to lean on my protective parent, simply because that parent has been stripped of any parenting abilities, either by her own traumatic reactions to the abuse by the coercive controller, or due to the false narratives, the gaslighting I've heard over and over and over again. Most often covertly and insidiously by the coercive controller. Unfortunately, all too often overtly. Children are not witnesses of, or exposed to domestic abuse. This is a systematically unacknowledged child abuse. Yet I live in a world where my liberty has been taken away, where myself and my protective parent do not have the ability to be seen or heard. I am trapped, and I do not have the ability to live a free, authentic life. This significant intergenerational trauma can be prevented simply by systems acknowledging this insidious offense, a psychological trauma to the developing brain. Whether it's physical or not, it is still a psychological trauma. The grooming process, again, is so coercive and controlling, it's harmful to anyone's brain. This offense, if perpetrated on a stranger, would be considered a crime. The coercive controller has little ability to change. The character traits he is attempting to impose on me are embedded within his personality, and the relationship didn't start off, again, with physical violence. But as we have heard over and over again, revenge is at all costs, because the goal is always to have revenge. All too often, the final act is violence. We must protect our children and understand that even if there is not a physical act of violence, that the violence in the home is traumatic to them, to their protective parent, and most importantly, to this vulnerable child's developing brain. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for listening, everyone. I hope that's validating. I know it's upsetting and triggering and overwhelming, but the more that we have clarity about the experiences of our children, the more that we can help them. I believe that the more that we can help them, the more that we spread this knowledge, the more that we can help them. So please feel free to subscribe and to share, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.